Welcome to Mr. Biz Radio, biz talk for biz owners. If you're ready to stop faking the funk and take your business onward and upward, this show is for you. And now, here's Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth.
All right, welcome to another episode of Mr. Biz Radio with me, Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth. And this week we're going to talk about something that I know people are going to be interested in, unless you're already there. And if you are, God bless. Awesome. We're going to talk about how to get to seven figures and beyond, but specifically seven figures. I know a lot of people out there, the vast majority of business owners, frankly, never get there, right? They start their own business. They may have some success, but that seven-figure mark, frankly, I think for a lot of people, it's a mental block, right? They look at it and they go, oh my gosh, $1 million. Like, how could I ever accomplish that? A little bit of imposter syndrome kind of creeps in on some of that kind of stuff, especially if you've got a smaller business, not necessarily brick and mortar, things like that. But even some of those, you'd be surprised at some of these brick and mortar businesses that you would expect are doing, $1 million plus, and they're really not, and maybe struggling along the way. So we've got someone. So again, we're very blessed to have awesome guests. We found this guy who's on the street. We just found him. We found Mark. He is the author of the #1 bestseller, Join the Seven Figure Club. So who better to talk about this? Mark Anthony is our guest this week. He's an international speaker and business advisor. He has trained and coached business owners as well as Fortune 500 teams on 6 continents. Need to get that 7th, Mark. I'm a little disappointed by that. And as I mentioned, he's the author of the #1 bestseller, Join the Seven Figure Club. He started his first business at 19 and has built numerous 7- and 8-figure businesses. His strategies are duplicatable and practical to implement for business owners of all sizes. Mark, welcome to Mr. Biz Radio.
Thank you so much for having me today. I really look forward to helping your listeners, break through that 7-figure ceiling. And it's so unfortunate that, everyone starts their business. They have this exciting origin and goal. And then they find getting to 7 figures. 9 out of 10 do not get to 7 figers. That's not a 7-figure income. That's breaking through just to 7 figures in sales.
Right.
If you follow a lot of the right formula, a lot of the principles, which I hope we'll get a chance to cover some of them today, people can get to 7 figures, and they can get to actually 7 figures in income. It's not easy. It's not some quick, like Instagram post, you're going to suddenly be there. It takes some real work. And, for myself, I've done that. I've done it multiple times. And I started my first business when I was 19. And it was way harder than I ever thought it was going to be. Some guy didn't pay me a $612 commission. I actually wound up suing him for it. I won.
Okay, good.
And several years later, I actually took over his company. I produced sports magazines for colleges across the country, and I started that as a college kid. And I grew that business in about 7 years. You can go from New York to California, and there were only a couple of states where we did not have licensing agreements. And one of the funny things is I didn't even know what a licensing agreement was to have the rights to sell the advertising. And I bring that up because when people are looking at, they're excited about what they want to start. You don't need to know everything. You need to be willing to put in the work. You need to be focused on what your core competencies are. And if you're doing that and you're talking to people, you are going to start getting sales and finding ways to grow. Now, to get to much larger businesses, one of the things I figured I needed was advertising. So I sold the sports publishing business. That was my first 7-figure exit. And then I found that I was good at advertising. I created a digital ad agency, had over 170 clients. Because for my own business, I figured out how to do Google ads, Facebook ads, things like that. Mm-hmm. And that allowed the business to grow. What did my business friends ask me? How do we do this? I would explain it to them. They would tell me, hey, my ad guy doesn't tell me those things. Why am I hearing it from you instead of my ad guy? And so where's the lesson for that for people who want to grow their business? The marketplace is going to give you clues to what the customer wants. You got to listen to the clues. If you have the skill set and you listen to what the market is telling you is a need, and you combine the two together, you have the start of a good business. And then you start finding ways to make things work. Out of building that, I actually developed an 8-figure e-commerce business. We would sell various supplies that everyone needed all across the country. But what did I do to be able to make that happen? And I don't mean this is about me. I want your listeners to think, what can they do to break through that ceiling? Well, I knew the advertising now. I knew how to do advertising online, which worked for e-commerce as a growing opportunity. I had relationships to get to suppliers. I knew how to talk and scale with a team. And doing each of those things were parts of the recipe to grow, because it wasn't about the product you sell. It's about how well you can market it, right? You want cash to be king. You want sales to be king. And to do that, you need to look at how are you going to get the sales? How are you going to market it? And if you're doing that, and then you keep getting the customers to come back, you start getting up to 7 figures, you break through, you get repeat business, and all of a sudden, you're actually going way past 7 figures. And in that particular business, we actually have done well over $200 million in online sales. And all of these things have allowed me to go to 6, not 7 continents, doing trainings now. And now what I do is I work with business owners on how do you figure out what you're good at? How do you put that goal into a plan and then execute on the plan and keep leveraging your wins to grow higher and higher? And that's allowed me to go and do programs, literally around the world for major companies and for small business organizations. And I do have to tell you, why did we not do 7 continents? Because that 7th continent is Antarctica.
Right.
And I did have the opportunity to go, by the way.
Oh, okay.
A base wanted me to come, but they wanted ongoing programming. And so I would have had to stay in Antarctica, not for like a 2-week gig, which would be very cool and very fun. Instead, I would have had to be there for at least 3 months. And that would have been not helping a whole lot of other people in other parts of the world.
It probably would have been a little brutal too, let's be honest. Like you said, 2
Exactly.
weeks, kind of cool. See some stuff, get a feel for the place. 3 months, that's probably a little much.
Exactly.
So Mark, let me ask this. So you go from the sports publishing, the e-commerce business. What generally were you selling in e-commerce business, or do you sell?
All sorts of ongoing consumable products,
Okay.
office supplies, cleaning supplies, janitorial supplies. So when you get a customer, do you have something that's going to allow you to sell to that customer again and again? Or are you going to structure your business in a way to find ways to keep giving value to your customer? In the consumable business, it was easy. But even if you're a medical professional or an auto dealership, what are you going to do to keep giving value to the customer? So it's about lifetime value. And if you figure that out and recognize it, you're in a great position to keep scaling the business upwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I knew that. I wanted to make sure that the listeners and viewers knew that as well, because I'm going to touch on that when we're going to hit a break here, but I'm going to touch on it when we come back as to why I asked that question and the importance of why I asked that question. I think it's is very relevant to our conversation here. We're going to hit a break here. Again, we're talking to Mr. Mark Anthony. You can find out more at his website, jointhesevenfigureclub.com.
If you would like to reach hundreds of thousands of business owners every week, Mr. Biz Radio can help. Our show airs globally 7 days a week for more than 25 hours across several internet radio stations, plus 20 plus podcast platforms. Also, video exposure on the new exclusive Mr. Biz Network streaming channel, which gets blasted to 100 plus streaming platforms, and the Mr. Biz YouTube channel, and our 350,000 social media followers multiple times every week. Join Mr. Biz Nation as an advertiser by emailing us at info@MrBizSolutions.com.
Attention, Mr. Biz Nation. We have an exclusive offer just for you. Get lifetime access to scarcity countdown timers and logic links for only $69. Yes, you heard it right. Only $69. These tools will add urgency to your email campaigns and website pages, helping you increase conversions, sales, and capture more leads. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Visit getpulsetools.com now and take your business to new heights.
Got a question for Mr. Biz you want answered on air? Email it to info@MrBizSolutions.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show again. Talking with Mr. Mark Anthony this week. Again, you can find out more. We'll put this in show notes as well, but he's on LinkedIn. You can also find him online at Mark Anthony High Performance. And there's a website, jointhesevenfigureclub.com. So Mark, so I wanted to touch on, so the reason I asked the question, and again, I knew the answer to it, I wanted to make sure everyone else was aware. You know, there's so many people out there. I don't mean, this is going to sound very negative. I don't mean to sound negative at all, but you're not a one-trick pony is let me just cut to the chase. And what I mean by that is, you know, someone hearing your story might say, oh, you started sports publishing and you grew this thing and that's great. And then your next business was, let's say, for example, sports this or sports that. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But the fact that you've taken two different types of businesses, first of all, sports related and publishing, to something completely different, e-commerce and, you know, household consumable products for the most part, completely different things. The fact that you're able to create success in all those different areas, right? It just goes to show you have a formula, you have a process that works and is applicable across many different things. It's not just, as I was trying to get to, not just, oh, well, if you're in sports, Mark can help you out. Like if you're in publishing, Mark can help you out. If you're in e-commerce, no, you've been successful across many of these. So that's why I wanted to make sure people realize that and recognize that, because that's another thing that I think is really important. You know, you get a coach or something like that, you got to find someone who's been there, done that on what you're trying to do. And let's say, for example, you have someone who's been very successful in the sports world, but maybe you're in the, I don't know, publishing world, completely different. And that their system might not work for you, right? So a system that works across many different industries, I think is very important for people to consider. Along those lines, one of the things I see often, especially I think post-COVID, is you had a lot of people that, you know, left their job, said, I'm the heck with this, I'm gonna start my own business. And I know you have a bit of a, I don't want to say a unique perspective, but I think it is kind of unique of the difference is the distinction between being an operator and a business owner, because I think a lot of people don't realize there's a difference. And there is, you know, a lot of people go, oh, I'm a business owner, but they're probably in a lot of cases just an operator. Tell us about that, Mark.
Yeah, that is one of the number one mistakes. It's in like the top 3 for sure of what a business owner, quote, air quotes, are you a business owner or are you self-employed? So let's ask that question. And if you're a listener, listen in. Are you a business owner or are you self-employed? You could have a business that's yours and it's giving you a job and you're there showing up every day. You're working 40 to 80 hours. You're doing everything. You have a job. On top of that, you have all of the responsibility. You never get a break. This is a job that could actually not be your best job ever, by the way. It's like you traded the 40-hour job and benefits for the 80-hour job. So what is a business owner? Let's look at the things that make someone a business owner and not just a guy who's operating the business and has the job. Okay? An operator utilizes processes. An operator is focused on, I said that backwards. We're going so quick there. The business owner utilizes processes. The business owner is building an asset. The business owner is creating jobs and has other people doing things. The business owner is focused on doing the $1,000 an hour activities illustratively, and someone else is doing that endless list of $20 an hour activities. The owner has a life. Now, you need to be operating systems, you know, to be able to do that. Okay, so let's break down some of the key points of being an owner versus the operator, the guy who has the job. When I say the operator is stuck in a job, but the owner has processes, you need to, everything that you were doing in the beginning when you might have been doing it all yourself, you've started to figure out how to clone yourself, how to have someone else follow your recipe, how to put the systems in place. That's the first thing that starts to break you free of the endless list of to-dos. Stuck in the endless list, you have a job. Break free of it, have operational procedures, then you become the owner. That's a huge thing. The owner, as much as they may love their business, is building an asset. It's an asset that you can sell. I've built my own businesses to exit. I've helped other people build their businesses to exit. But it's not just someone taking over the business. The guy who's coming in to fill in your shoes wants to be able to replace you. So again, you need to build an asset that has the foundation of that being the processes. So those two pieces go together. When the operator creates jobs for other people, you're going to have a long list. You're going to still work as a business owner. But there are things like getting new clients, taking care of negotiations, seeing the big vision. That's worth thousands and thousands of dollars per hour. And why can't people get to those things enough? Why can't they work on our marketing campaign? They're stuffing envelopes. They're answering phones. They're responding to countless emails. They're doing the work. Actually, we got this from one of my clients, a very successful person that grew his business to several hundred people. But he said, hey, you know what, Mark? When I'm doing the work of a $10 or a $20 an hour person, I'm only worth $10 or $20 an hour.
Right.
Let that sink in. You could say, oh, I'm worth so much money. I'm going to be driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis. And I love Grant Cardone, but like that big picture, the bling that he'll talk about. You could be talking that game. But if you're doing $10 and $20 an hour activities, you're not going to get there. You got to create the processes for those things so that you're not the only one who can do it. And then you focus on the big things that at the beginning, you might be the only one who can do it.
Yeah.
That's
you know what,
starting
Mark?
to be.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is, so for someone who's watching or listening right now, and they're like, man, I think Mark's kind of talking about me on the operator side. Here's a real easy litmus test. This is not foolproof, but a real easy litmus test. And I'd love your opinion on this, Mark. But from what you're talking about, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. If you're out there and you're thinking, am I an operator or a business owner? What happens if you pull yourself out of the business? Let's say that you're going on vacation for 3 months. What happens to your business? Do the walls cave in? Do the walls collapse? If you're an operator, if that happens, you are 100% an operator. And I'm not saying every business owner should be able to just leave for 3 months, but I'm just saying as an extreme example, if you're like, holy crap, my business would be absolutely toast. Like this place wouldn't function without me. You are on the operator side, and you're not necessarily on that business owner side. I know we've only got about 30 seconds here, so I don't want to. I got plenty of questions for you, Mark. I don't want to cut you short.
I will jump in on that point real quick and say your litmus test is spot on. And so I've worked with people. Let's take lawyers and doctors. Some of them build a practice with multiple locations. Those people were able to find other associates who got the work done. It wasn't only dependent on them.
Yeah. All right. Come back after the break, guys. We're going to talk more about how to get to 7 figures and beyond.
How would you like to have direct access to Mr. Biz to help you run your business more profitably and more efficiently? At MrBizSolutions.com, you get live access to not only Mr. Biz, but also several of his hand-picked and trusted business experts, each with 20 plus years of experience to help you optimally manage and grow your business. That's just the start of where Mr. Biz Solutions begins. Learn more at MrBizSolutions.com. That's MrBizSolutions.com.
Attention, Mr. Biz Nation. We have an exclusive offer just for you. Get lifetime access to scarcity countdown timers and logic links for only $69. Yes, you heard it right. Only $69. These tools will add urgency to your email campaigns and website pages, helping you increase conversions, sales, and capture more leads. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Visit getpulsetools.com now and take your business to new heights.
Check out all 3 of Mr. Biz's best-selling books at MrBizBooks.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show with Mr. Mark Anthony as our guest this week. And Mark, I want to get into this. We got one segment left. So much to talk about. And I know you could talk about this for days on end, which is a good thing. So that owner-operator thing we talked about, a lot of people, I mean, not to say you couldn't get that 7 figures as an operator, but the other aspect of that that's really negative is that you mentioned what I loved in your definition of a business owner, you're building an asset. If you're an operator and you go to sell your business at some point, the value of your business is going to be significantly less because, let's say I just want to write a check. I want to buy Mark Anthony Inc. and you're an operator, Mark, and I write a check. I don't want to run your business. I just want to have a, semi-passive income. I got to replace Mark, right? Because you're the operator. And so the value of your business to someone, and I just talked to producer Alan about this, about another client I had. We just talked about this yesterday, actually, when we did another show. After the show, it's significantly less. So that's another thing to consider. All right, I'll shut up now. I want to get into some of these things, Mark, because we only have this last segment left here. What are some things, the most critical steps that people out there listening right now and watching that can help them get to 7 figures, and or maybe some things that they need to avoid that will hinder them to getting to the 7 figures?
Beautiful question. And let's start out with, say, the first point, because it impacts both of the things you said. You need to know, as a business owner, you are continually going to get hit by all sorts of things that you do not know how to do, did not expect. There might be, I've owned businesses where, the floor below us caught on fire. You're going to get hit and things are going to mess up operations. How are you going to handle this? And people will say, well, I just need to get 4 employees and then things will scale. Oh, well, someone's going to quit. Someone's going to steal. You need to know that you're going to grow. And each time you grow to a bigger level, you're going to get more problems that have more zeros behind them.
Yep.
That's just part of the game. You play in the big leagues, you get hit harder. Expect it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing as setting a foundation you got to know. What's another thing that would make a big difference in getting to 7 figures? And that is you need to be able to sell. Okay, cash is king. It solves a whole lot of problems. When you have imperfections in your business, which you will, when you get a lot of sales, it can hide a lot of them. So that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just learn to sell. How does a business owner who doesn't want to sell effectively sell? Let's boil sales down to just 2 simple questions, which if you genuinely care about your customers, you should be able to ask and answer. The first question, what's most important to your customer, to your prospect? Literally ask them and hear what they say. Now, they're probably going to give you some type of surface answer. I want a car that's reliable. I want a restaurant where the food is good. No, you got to go deeper. So what do you ask? How do you define whatever you told me was so important? You get your customer to define to you their definition of what they need. Hear it, deliver on that. And someone who doesn't like sales is suddenly going to be outperforming many salespeople.
And by the way, Mark, I love that because in essence, what you're doing is you're having the customer define your value rather than you trying to sell your value, because what you're trying to sell and what you think the value is may not be, to your point, how they define what value is.
Pure genius. It's so good. You fully get it. And that's why, you've been able to serve many of your clients so well. And I've done the same. It's because we're focused not on us. We're focused on others. And that's a core principle as well. Now, of course, you want to get more and more of these people you can serve. So let's talk a little bit about marketing. And You need to have multiple marketing channels. You can't build your entire business just on Etsy, just on Google, just on Facebook, or just on referrals. Okay? You need multiple marketing channels because something goes wrong at different times, and you need other things to keep the flow going. So one of the things I also want business owners to have is some very inexpensive marketing, referrals, strategic alliances, going to networking events, getting customers without having to spend a lot of money. This is a great way to get quality customers. It's a great way to build your foundation so then you can actually afford to advertise to get customers to scale up. But you need to do it safely so you're not completely stressing out. Multiple marketing channels, and some of those channels are low-cost marketing strategies. Very important to put into the mix. And every one of these tips are actually parts of my book, Join the Seven-Figure Club, where I have pillars that you're building on. You need each of these elements that we're talking about.
And real quick, Mark, let me jump in there. One thing, I saw this happen with a business. They had a business and they were relying heavily, I mean, when I say heavily, I mean all caps, bold, underline, on Facebook advertising. And when I first started working with them, I said, and they're just killing it, right? They got the formula down. They know how to do this, and they tweak it every so many days or so many weeks. That's great. I went in there and I said, hey, by the way, I went in one day being kind of funny, but I also wanted to kind of have a little shock value to what I wanted to talk to them about that day. And I said, hey, did you guys hear today? I'm like, what happened? And I said, Facebook's down. They're getting regulated by the government and they're getting shut down. And everyone turned around, like everyone, right? Freaking out, like, oh my God. And I said, I'm just kidding, right? But what if that happened? You know, if Facebook went down and you're only relying on Facebook ads, now what? Now what do you do? Is your business gone, right? So to your point, I mean, it's so important to have those multiple channels. And that's just one example to think about. If you're only a Google person, you're only Facebook or only Etsy or whatever it might be, like what happens if by some chance that platform got shut down, even if it got shut down for temporarily, had some sort of weird technical issue or whatever, or it got shut down for several days or whatever. And God forbid if the government stepped in and shut them down for some reason, you know, what would you do? And how would that affect your business?
So true. And there's so many things we can cover. Want to make sure every business owner tests themselves with the following challenge, essentially. Are you really accountable to what matters in your business? And most people actually aren't, and that will hinder them massively. So what do we mean by that? They'll say, of course, I'm always focused on sales. I'm always focused on the best product. What drives that happening? So if it's sales, it's not the end result that we're focused on. Did you meet enough prospects? Did you ask enough people if you could put together a proposal for them? Did you create enough proposals? Did you follow up 5 times on every proposal or whatever the number might be that's appropriate? Right? It's those things that drive the end result. If you're a designer, one design might hit, but you need to possibly create 50 designs. You might also need to go to 50 different stores to look for other ideas. Did you take the driver actions? And you need to stop and look at not the end result, but all the little steps that lead up to it. And then track how much you've done on each of them. If the number is high, you will be going towards 7 figures and beyond. If the number is low, I bet you your sales are low too, and you're going to be stalling.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Guys, as Mark mentioned, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what's in Mark's best-selling book, Join the Seven-Figure Club. Mark, thanks so much for coming on. I know we could talk about this for days. Amazing content. I really appreciate you being a guest.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic remainder of your week. And don't forget, as always, cash flow is king.
To become part of Mr. Biz Nation, follow him on all social media platforms or never miss a show by going to MrBizRadio.com. If you prefer free video content, visit the Mr. Biz YouTube channel or check out his streaming channel, which is available on 100 plus streaming platforms at MrBizNetwork.com.